Remember, he had the thetan, mind, and body. Thetan is the spirit, mind is your mind and body. And he was like, Dianetics really handled the body, Scientology addresses the soul. And so he was like, okay, we're going to get you to be an operating thetan, right? And you're like, well, what is that? He's like, we can't tell you, it's confidential. It's so, it's so secret, we can't tell you. So you're like, okay, you know, a lot of it is secret, and you're like, okay, okay, okay. But you have to remember, ethics is happening all the time. Ethics is huge in Scientology. They have statistics for everything. The staff have statistics. They have the Sea Org, they have staff, and they have public. So the Sea Org are the guys in the uniforms. Sometimes they let them wear suits because the public gets sick of their uniforms, so they try to make them blend in. But they're basically the Sea Org. Staff are people that have signed and Sea Org signs a billion-year contract also. Keep that in mind. Staff is a 2 to 5 year contract, and then public are people that are just public, and volunteers. I was in the Sea Org, they routed me out. Then I was on staff for a few years, left that because I had a child, and then I ended up being a volunteer for the Office of Special Affairs, which is they say it's their PR and legal division. The truth is it's their dirty tricks. It's heavy stuff. It's very heavy stuff. And that's why Steve Allen said they're a cult. You know, it's like they are. They're not a religion. Okay, so I went over KSW. I went over the Sea Org. Hubbard, once he gets out on the ocean, he has about, and you can go on the internet and see it, they're like, and I know these people now, they're all out. All the people that were his original staff have left Scientology. But they were young kids, you know, little girls in mini skirts, and he called them the Commodore's messengers, right? And I mean, some of the stories these people tell, you wouldn't believe it, you know, feeding him. And the guy was a fanatic. He couldn't have, you know, he got really crazier and crazier as the years went on. He couldn't stand scent. So this is a true story for me. My girlfriend and I used to snort candles. We'd go around and snort candles because you could never wear perfume. And we'd be like, oh, we love this scent. And you know, you'd think, how crazy is that? But you can't, this is a true story to give you an idea of scent. I was at one of their top training things in the course room. Now in the old days when I got in, they had 200 people on this course. By the time I got on it in 1999, there were 4 people on it, to give you an idea. I mean, dramatic decrease, right? And I said to my supervisor, can I go sit in there? Because that guy's trained on what I'm learning and I need his supervision. He says, yeah, go on in. So I go in, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting there studying, and all of a sudden, I see this guy come up. Let's say that's my head, and he's going like this. I turn around like, what the hell is this? He's sniffing my hair. And he goes, you have scent in your hair. Get out of my course room. And he kicks me out. And I said, you know what, pal, give me a piece of paper. I'm writing a knowledge report on you. And I did. I sat down and I said, you want to know why it's gone from 200 people to 4 people? Because of morons like this. You know, that's why. I was really mad. Anyway, so Hubbard starts in. Are you all with me, or am I like going too far all over the place? Is it okay? It's so hard because it's 30 years. You know what I mean? Thank you. It's hard for me to tell if you can follow me or not. Anyway, okay, so I go in the Sea Org. I'm routed out because of my medicine. Hubbard is out on the ocean so that nobody can get him. The IRS basically can't get him, right? Because he's on the ocean. And I know his top PR because I used to work in PR and I was very successful, but I was never trained in Hubbard's PR, right? And I said to her, Laurel Sullivan, I said, you know, I was pretty successful in PR, but these guys do things that are so stupid, I don't get it. And she said, you know what? I want you to know something. You were successful because you were never trained in Hubbard PR. She said, you have to know we were kicked out of every single port in the world when they were on the ship because they just did stupid things. You know, that's the way he is. I mean, they're doing them to this day. And now that I'm out, it's like, why do they do that? But, you know, that's part of the policy. And don't forget, keeping Scientology working. So if you don't do it, Hubbard said you have to do this. If you don't do it, it's a high crime. You know, if you don't apply the tech correctly, he called it a high crime. Okay? So I'm sorry to keep bringing that up, but that's how many times they bring it up. So, you know, you kind of get the idea. In 1979, I got in 69. I get trained, I do some training, and I do, I think I did up through clear. In 79, I attest to clear. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to my OT levels. And remember, I have epilepsy, and most doctors don't know what causes epilepsy. And they'll say that, we don't know what it is. So finally, I get into this secret room for OT3, which is their big top secret stuff. And last weekend, we mentioned it at the Humanist Society, and the Scientologists were there. And once it came up, I said, well, you guys are OTs, right? Like, if they didn't want me to say it, they should have said, don't talk about it. But they don't want to say that because they know they'll sound like morons, right? So they say, yeah, we are. So I say, okay. So I start talking about the story. And at the end, when they get to talk, they go, Tory broke her promise. Why would you ever trust her? I didn't break my promise. I'm not a Scientologist anymore. Okay? It's like somebody who abuses you and says you can never talk about it. No. Hey, I can talk about it. Okay, so OT3, this is the truth. And this is now over $100,000 to get here. It's about 50 to hear this word. Write it down. X-E-N-U. That's Xenu. Now you guys all got to know this because it's, now I heard a minister telling this story in a church with 500 people. And he goes, okay, first of all, I want to tell you all that L. Ron Hubbard said, and he did, you could get pneumonia if you hear this information. And I'm warning you of that here too. So if you'd like to leave, that's what they did too. I mean, it's funny. But you know, when you're in the Truman Show, it's like, wow, I could get pneumonia from this? And he says, I nearly died. And this is all on the internet. You can go on and read the whole story. It's very complex. But he said he nearly died doing the research on it. But now I've done it and I offer it to you. Now, back when I got in, I did OT3 in 79. In 79, basically, all right, hang on one second. In 79, they put me in a little room. Now they have a huge course because they have to make sure you understand where the volcanoes are, because it turned out a lot of the volcanoes never even existed. So they, you know, that Hubbard said. But anyway, they put me in a room, they give me a pack, and they say, here it is. And I open it up, and it says 75 million years ago, there was an evil warlord named Xenu. And Xenu, because of overpopulation, tried to handle it by putting these people, blowing them up, putting them in volcanoes and blowing them up. Then their spirits got stuck on these ribbons. I mean, it's so weird when I tell it. You know, they got stuck on ribbons. They moved them into these theaters, flashed all these implant pictures on them, and now they've been let out into the universe, and your problems are all because you have these space aliens stuck on you. That's it. That's the $100,000 question, man. You go, what are they in there for? Why is Tom Cruise there at John Travolta? Because they don't have critical thinking. I heard John Travolta, who I love. I trained John Travolta in 1969 at Celebrity Center. And I love him. He's a great guy. But he's in the show, man. And I heard him the other night saying, you know what? The great thing about Scientology is you can confront evil. And I knew what he's talking about. He's talking about me and people like us who speak out. But that's not confronting evil. We're talking. If you could confront evil, he could come talk to me or Mark Bunker or any other critic around the world. But he can't. So that's not critical thinking, is it?